Josh Eilert back as a head coach again. I know who saw that coming. And Bob Huggins?
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. You're back again today. It's Monday. This is Locked On West Virginia. Thanks for being here, man. It's been an awesome day so far. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I am 40 years young. Don't feel it. Don't look it. Glad for that. For everything I put myself through. It's hard to believe, but true, at least in my eyes anyway. Going to be brought to you by none other than FanDuel. Guys, right now, FanDuel's doing a cool thing. You can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Only for new customers, but go to FanDuel.com to get started. And thanks for making us your first listen here today, guys, and being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team every single day. So I was shocked today. I mean, is Utah having a good season? No. Are they having a terrible season? I wouldn't say that either. They fired Craig Smith today. And it's funny because we heard so much about him when he was in Morgantown, how, they were such a good passing team, this and that. Well, the powers that be must feel like Josh Eilert is the guy to lead this team into beyond. Now, I don't know how far this is going to go, but in Salt Lake City, former West Virginia interim head coach Josh Eilert's going to get another shot to lead a team as Craig Smith has been fired on Monday afternoon, which is pretty wild. Utah's 15-12. They did lose at UCF, who's most people considered one of the two worst teams in the conference. And a statement from Utah says, after evaluating our program under Craig's leadership, I believe a change is needed to get us where we want to go. The time is now to begin that process, and we will surround Coach Eilert, the staff, and our student athletes with the support as they continue with their season, Mark Harlan said. Obviously, we know he joined after one interim year at West Virginia and 17 as an assistant, where they were really bad, 9-23 under him. But a lot of those were out of his control, right? I mean, a lot of that was one of the most snake-bitten years, I think, in program history for any program ever. Like, seriously. If you go back and look, I think I've said this a couple times, it got up into the 30s, 20s or 30s, that major things they had go wrong, right? From the firing of Coach Huggins to the players kind of holding themselves for ransom in a way because or at least their ability to play basketball for ransom in a way, because they knew that this team couldn't bring anybody else in, and if they transferred, they'd be in a really bad spot in August. No, there was no other window opening, and so they could basically place themselves against more money. And even though a lot of guys said, we will come back if you just keep Eilert, some people still left. So he was handicapped to begin with, and then Raekwon Battle and others had to go to court and sue to be able to play. As soon as they came back, boom, Jesse Edwards goes down with a wrist, a broken wrist or something like that. And I'm sure, if I went back and looked at the archives, there was more than just that. But those are just a couple of the things that happened. Oh, Jose Perez got thrown off the team. The kid that we had come in from Hofstra never even made it. It was truly Josh Eilert never got a fair shake, and I think it's pretty well known that, they paid him a couple $1 million to kind of take the fall for that, land on that grenade, and he did, and he was upstanding and did an awesome job. And what an awesome thing here to see Josh Eilert get good karma. This is good karma. That's what this is. Even though he didn't do a good, I don't know if you can say he did a good job or a bad job, because I feel like anybody would have struggled in his position. Not only that, there's even more I can add to it. They had 3 first-year coaches on staff, I want to say, at least 3. Obviously, Jordan McCabe, and a couple others. I'd have to go back and look. And then a couple others with very little experience. So it was a very snake bitten process all the way through. And obviously, we moved on and got Darren DeVries, which we're happy with. Josh moves on to Utah and has been really good with them on defense. If you'll pay attention, like they've had some pretty good defensive games. I think he's been behind that, and there's a reason he's only been there for the short amount of time. A cook collapsed in the exhibition game. Absolutely, there's another one, and we could keep adding to this. You're absolutely right. A cook. There's another huge one. Like that's as big as any other, and that's not to even mention that we lost everybody. Emmett Matthews, like we had the number one portal class in America that didn't even take the floor. Like we went from an outlook of, shoot, could we be a top 5 or 6 team in the league this year to, are we the worst team? And yeah, we were. So Josh Eilert gets this job, 17 years on the bench behind Coach Huggins. But here's my question. Shouldn't he go ahead and bring in Huggins now? You're already down a coach. Craig Smith gone. You don't think Bob Huggins would jump at the chance? And does Josh Eilert owe Bob Huggins a shot here? I think he does. I think you call your mentor and say, hey, here's the deal. It's my squad, but I'm going to bring you in as an associate coach. And look, a lot of this would depend on if they plan on to keep Josh Eilert or not. If this is just an interim job and they're moving on to somebody else, much like West Virginia for him, then bringing in Hugs for a few months doesn't really make a difference. But I do believe that Bob Huggins could help a team, especially as the top assistant, let's say, or a guy on the bench just to be the mentor. You could also make the case that he needs to get away from Hugs and not even be around him, and I get that too. But I think it just would be a great story for Hugs to come in alongside Josh and try to help resurrect Utah. I think they would be great together again. And the style of ball they would play, recruiting to Utah is very similar as recruiting to West Virginia. You have to recruit a certain kind of player there to win, I would say. So who better than Josh Eilert, Bob Huggins getting back together and figuring that thing out maybe just one more time. While I don't think it's going to happen, I put it on the thumbnail because that's what I was saying. Bring him in, bring in Hugs, because I think it would be fun to see. And I just want to see Huggins get one more chance somewhere. I know everybody thinks he's too old and too far gone to do it, and maybe he is. But part of me just wants to see it so badly. I want to see Coach Huggins get another shot because, those of us that have issues with alcoholism or addiction, and always get a second chance, right? In Bob Huggins' case, he's obviously a very wealthy man, so he doesn't have to worry about the financial implications of that. A lot of times addicts or alcoholics don't have any money and are too broken to go into the workplace for a long time. And so, at least he does have that to fall back on. But, people need purpose. And I think Bob Huggins needs a purpose. I don't know what he's doing outside of, he's got his fish fry. He's got his meet and greets. I'm sure he does some consulting, what have you. I'm sure he does a lot, more than I do, I'm sure. But I just think that this would be the perfect hire for Utah. It's far away from Morgantown. It's far away from what happened. And I truly believe that Bob Huggins deserves another chance. So let's see if it happens. Let's keep an eye on it. I have heard that there is some interest there from the Huggins side of things, and this is just one person that's close to the situation that told me that like he's on standby. He realizes like this is going to be talked about. People are going to automatically think of him like, obviously at West Virginia, this was not a possibility because of Gordon Gee, other factors. He'd just been fired from West Virginia, so he wasn't going to come in at West Virginia, the job he just lost, and be the top assistant or an assistant. But at Utah, he could be, right? As long as they're Mr. Harlan and company are willing to overlook Bob Huggins' past. And, I think, maybe Josh Eilert could absolutely – I got to fly on my screen again. But yeah, so I thought that was cool. And I would love to see it. I'm certainly rooting for Coach Uggs, like I said. Let's see if it happens, man. What a time we live in. Josh Eilert gets back-to-back interim coaching jobs. When does that ever happen in somebody's career? Back-to-back interim jobs? It's almost like being a substitute teacher, except for basketball. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, let's talk football now. Is Rich Rod scared of Marshall? Because that's what the people are saying. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Prize Picks. You guys know about Prize Picks, don't you? March basketball is here, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you can pick more or less on at least 2 projections of players. And if you're right, you win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's that simple. Fast, easy, and keeps every game exciting. Build your lineups this week. I'm looking for Jason Tatum to score more than 29 and Anthony Davis to have more than 12 boards. I love how I can make my picks in as little as 60 seconds and stay engaged all game long. And when I win, my money hits my account in as little as 15 minutes. No waiting around. Prize Picks even offers weekly promos like Taco Tuesday, where you can get discounted player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. The code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Do it at Prize Picks. Run your game. And in segment 2, we do crack a do on my 40th birthday. Interestingly enough, I saw something today I thought it'd be fun to talk about. Well, I don't know if fun's the right word because what's being thrown out there. People were saying Rich Rod is scared of Marshall. You guys heard this? Seen this? You heard about this? I sound like Jay Leno. You guys heard this? Seen this? Heard about this? He used to do that all the time. Let me just get to it. So Barstool Marshall obviously posted you in. This was on the 22nd. We need to play this game every single year. Keeping the money in state and supporting both universities just makes sense. Tony Gibson, again, talking about the Friends of Coal Bowl. This would have probably been my video today had it not been the Utah thing. I felt like that was a little bit more prevalent. So I thought, well, I mean, they're going to vie for it. They're going to, they're going to campaign for this. But what really got me mad was, and I got to thinking about this too. You guys realize who we play in the second game of next year? And I don't know how many people know this. I mean, I thought it was pretty well known, but I've actually talked to a couple people today that didn't know this. Ohio University is Marshall's pit. Like, seriously, that's their pit. Marshall and Ohio University hate each other with a burning passion deep inside their souls. Like, they do not get along with one another. It's a big rivalry in the group of 5, or in the MAC. Used to be in the MAC. Obviously, they played every year. I went and seen many games. I live in that area. When I was young, I went to Athens and watched a game there, which, by the way, those of you going down to Athens are going to be shocked at the size, and it's a cool old stadium, but it is 20,000 people maybe. It's really small. It's not like Marshall's where you're getting closer to 35, where it's pretty. Marshall's actually got a pretty big stadium. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's actually a lot bigger than you would realize it is. Like they do sometimes 30, 35, 38,000 people in there. I think 38. But yeah, so Ohio University's not so much. They got the home side and then the away side. It looks like a high school stadium. But they're Marshall's biggest rivals. So I got to thinking, and somebody had put, well, of course they'll go play our biggest rival and not us. And then there was a Rich Rod is scared tab made. And I went down and read a bunch of the Marshall comments, how Rich Rod is scared. And There was a few West Virginia people in there, but they were mostly West Virginia detractors in there talking about Rich Rod is scared, that we won't play the game because we're afraid we'll be what's the word, they look exposed as the worst team in the state. And like a few of these people really believe this. This isn't like they were talking amongst themselves, like they weren't talking crap here. Like these people really believe that year in, year out, that they have a chance against us. Like I do believe that had we kept playing the series, we probably would have lost one by now. That year with Rakeem Cato, where I think they won 12 games. Like they've had a couple of teams that could have beat ours, um, including maybe even last year's. But the team that beat Notre Dame obviously could have played with us. But to act like this is a rivalry, it's just like putting words in somebody's mouth. You just can't do it. You don't do it. It's not that Rich Rod is scared of Marshall. It's we're aiming higher than that. Like, trust me, if this was the old days where you could just schedule a team and not really worry about the impact it has on you in the playoff and everything else that comes with that, I think the game would probably still be played, because I do think it's good for the state. You're probably lying to yourself if you didn't get up for that game. But there is that fear factor of, if you win, you're supposed to win. If you lose, it's an upset. And that's just kind of the vibe, right? And there was the time when Marshall was the one with tied with Florida as the winningest team in the 90s. Florida was the winningest team overall. Marshall, the winningest team of like Division II and FCS, whatever, those levels. I think they were really close to what Florida did. So a lot of people feel like, they've been slighted by the Mountaineers over the years. That rhymes. But at the end of the day, of course, Rich Rod isn't scared. I was going to use that as a thumbnail. Like, is he scared? Because, I think it's a ridiculous thing to say, to be honest. I do. To think that Rich Rod would be scared of Marshall or West Virginia in general, it's not that at all. It's that the ego of the herd is, you know what? Well, you know why Ohio University's got the game? Here's why they got the game. They took the 2-1. They took the 2-for-1. Like the ego on these people sometimes. Like, you're the Group of 5 team. We're the Power 4 team, Power 5, whatever verbiage you want to use. And so we take risk by playing you. You have everything to gain, nothing to lose by playing us. And yet you want a 1-for-1 every year because it's in state and it's good for the state. Well, that's not going to happen. You've got to be at some kind of disadvantage here inherently, because that's just the way it's done. That's why Ohio University said, sure, you guys come to us first, and then we'll play 2 in Morgantown, right? So that's fine. And Marshall could probably get that deal. But you know what? They wouldn't settle for it. And I can't remember, maybe it was Hamrick that was there at the time, whenever this all went down, in Luck maybe, that kind of discussed this. But it's just silly, man. I really is. I get tired of talking about it a little, because it's just a non-factor. It's a non-starter. Would I like to personally see the game played? Sure. I think if we could work it out, that'd be great. Obviously, if we can play Ohio U, we can play Marshall. That's a fair thing to say. And I saw a couple people say that, like, if you can play Ohio U, then you should be able to play Marshall. I agree with that. Absolutely. The thing is, Ohio U is out of state. They're not in state. So, if West Virginia is taking a risk by playing the game, if you lose, there are a couple of things to lose, which could be, you could have a Wyatt Milam that year in state that says, well, hell, I'm going to go to Marshall. I mean, they're beating West Virginia anyway. Like, you could have a Zach Frazier that says, well, I might as well go to Marshall. And then all of a sudden they've got one of these all-time players on their squad from in-state because you lost the one game. But I don't think that's how West Virginia thinks of it. That's how I think of it. So, yeah, I think it's an annoying conversation overall. Do I think that it'll get straightened out someday? Maybe, maybe. I would like to see it happen absolutely some point. I think it's a game that does need to happen at some point, but um, there's so much uncertainty in and around college football anymore that I don't know what's going to happen year on year out, on year in year out. Athletic directors are afraid to schedule too far in advance because who knows what the sport's going to look like. So yeah, it's I don't know. I hopefully this doesn't cause Tony Gibson and Rich Rod to dislike each other because man, the way that Rich Rod responded to that initial, what did Tony Gibson say the first time? I think I have it here. I've had the honor to work for a lot of great head coaches, head football coaches. One of them that just got hired up at school up north. So I think it's time for the Friends of Coble again. And Rich Rod, obviously, in a funny response, said, I haven't thought about them for one single second. Like Tony Gibson gave him the compliment, worked with some great coaches. He did call us the school up north, but, he was obviously pandering to those reporters there at Marshall. It's just, it's a silly thing, but let's go to break really quick. Get back. We'll put a bow on this one, guys. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is also going to be brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get it than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can even place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip, you can bet on a fourth quarter comeback. You can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally, picking a player to hit a clutch three. I never feel like I've missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you get paid, you get the payment instantly. Right now, new customers can bet $150 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Just don't forget, guys, make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me here today. Excuse me, on this episode, and not a ton to talk about. Obviously, we got Utah, but I do think that adds. I wanted a couple more thoughts on that. So let's see. All right. So West Virginia obviously plays Utah on March 4th. So right around 10 days from now, somewhere in there. Well, less than that. February's doesn't have that many days. But right around a week or so away. That's going to be a fascinating game now. West Virginia going to Utah to face Josh Eilert on the road. Insane. Like this is going to be, it's going to add so much complexity and another layer to this game. I'm really looking forward to it now. Not that I already wasn't, but we don't need things to be any harder than they already are, y'all. And here we are, right? So we'll see. It's one of those situations where Josh Eilert could literally knock us out of the thing. If we don't win, let's say we lose the next two or something, we got to win the next two after that, or, that kind of thing. So keep an eye on it. Keep you updated, guys. I appreciate you for being here. I'm going to cut it short today. I got my family coming to get me. We're going to go get pizza and just hang out, enjoy my birthday. But thank you guys for the birthday wishes. I don't feel 40. Don't always act 40. So it's been great. You guys have helped me, and I know I get a little mushy on here from time to time, but I just want to tell you guys, if you're out there and you're struggling with anything addiction, if you're struggling with anything mental health, if you're struggling with anything in your life that you feel like is a weight, or if you have energy suckers in your life, reach out to me. and I can help you get rid of any of those things, or at least give you the tools to. Um, my life changed 5 years ago when I chose to change it, and it made years 35 to 40 a lot better than years 23 to 35. So it's out there. It can be done. I'm a walking example. Sometimes I suffer on camera for the better, for the because I believe in it so much. Like I've had panic attacks on here. I've been emotional on here. I tell you guys about my life because I want you to learn from my life. That's a big part of this. And you guys mean a lot to me. So, and I mean that. And I know a lot of you guys well now. You've followed me for years, and it's hard to believe that it's been that long, but it has been. And I think, you get to know people over that long amount of time like that. And I've tried to let you guys have an inside peek into who I am. And so thank you guys for all you do for me, the confidence you give me, you guys give me something to strive towards. I'll end with this. I used to always run from everything. I used to run from my demons. I used to run from addiction. I used to run from my feelings. And now I flip-flopped it. Now I have something to run towards, right? I have goals. I went from fear-based thinking to goal-oriented thinking. And I think that switch is the switch that changed my life. So if you're out there and you live in a fear-based world / mentality, switch it. Goal-based. Go goal-based, switch from fear of failure, fear of addiction, fear of whatever it is in your life, and turn those things into goals and make steps to get there. And it's one of the biggest things that I use to change my life. So not trying to get motivational here on you, but on my birthday, I felt like I was qualified a little bit as I reflect on these last 5 years and what it's been like. So thank you guys once again. I will see you tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be news of some sort. If not, I'll make something up to talk about and we'll go there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, everything below. Hit those notifications so you know when we're going live. Join the Discord. We're on Discord here. Fester and others in the comments can probably direct you that way. If not, come find me at Paul Mountaineer over on X. That's at Paul, Paul, Mountaineer, which is just spelled like Mountaineer, like Mountaineers, but no S, just Mountaineer Paul. At Paul Mountaineer. So find me on X and I'll give you the Discord. I'll answer your message. I answer messages, even though I get a lot each day. Believe it or not, I get sometimes as many as 50 or 100 a day. So sometimes it's hard to keep up, but you guys are awesome. So I'll see you when I see you, and we'll talk when we do. Have a great night, guys. It's a great day to be a Mountaineer, and I'll see you on the next one.